Normally, if it's Thursday night, it's strictly sports college football Thursday. But for tonight, if it's Wednesday night, say yeah for it's strictly sports college football Wednesday. Hello, friends. Anthony Floyer here with you for another edition of Strictly Sports College Football. Well, we're gonna call it the Strictly Sports College Football Show this week. Normally, it's College Football Thursday, but because of our special programming this week, we're switching it up a day, and so instead, it's going to be College Football Wednesday for tonight. Right now, I'm joined by good old Michael Fletcher. We got Michael Bullock coming in sometime in a while. He's running a little late, so but he will be here, and when he comes in, we'll simply catch him up on what he missed. So yeah, um, without any further ado, let's dive on into week 3 of our docket, and our first matchup will go down on Friday night at 7 Eastern on ESPN. We got the number 22 South Florida Bulls at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, squaring off against the Fighting Illini of Illinois. And South Florida, a 17 to 17 and a half point favorite. And on the call for this game will be Dave Lamont and Mac Brown. I'm not sure who the sideline reporter is. Usually, I get my full list of announcers and all that. It usually comes in on Thursday, so it'll be a little bit of an inconvenience. So, I believe Molly McGrath works with them. I'm not sure, but I believe she's the one who works with them. So, but I do know Dave Lamont and Mac Brown will be in Tampa for that Illinois and South Florida matchup on Friday nights. So, I'm going to make it short and sweet. I got South Florida winning this game. I mean, they've been very impressive. They're 2-0. Then again, Illinois is 2-0. But it was unknown that they weren't going to be, because, Hurricane Irma has been pounding, that region. And they're going to be in Tampa. And there was South Florida was supposed to play at UConn last week, but it canceled it, and this will be their big game right here. And I mean, it's a homecoming. I mean, Lovie Smith and Charlie Strong, they're going to be going at it. And Illinois off to a 2-0 start after going 3-9 in Smith's first year, and led by their quarterback Mike Epstein and or Chase Crouch rather. He's their quarterback, and Mike Epstein, the freshman, and South Florida, Quentin Flowers, Dearness Johnson. I expect them both to have humongous games in this one. So it's going to be great to see football in Florida after the whole Irma thing. So I'm going with South Florida. I'm going to go maybe 2 to 3 scores. They'll win that one. But don't sleep on Illinois. They've been pretty solid so far. But I'm going to go with South Florida, mainly because of Flowers and Johnson. So MF, for the first time in a while, football in South Florida for the first time since Irma.
Yes, indeed, and it's going to be very exciting. I know it's going to be very emotional for the fans in South Florida. It's going to be emotional the entire weekend in Florida, because not only do you have the college kids playing college football in Florida, but you also got the pros. We'll get into them tomorrow when we do the NFL Thursday, but as for tonight, yeah, I agree with that. I think South Florida is going to win. And to think about it, because I'm looking at Illinois right now, the first 2 wins that they've had already, they had a 24-21 win over Ball State, and then they defeated Western Kentucky 20-7. So this is actually their first real major test, to say the very least. But I'm with you on this one. I'm going to give it to South Florida as well. I think basically this should be an easy win for them as well. So, yeah, nothing more to say. We're just going to go right on to the next game.
And we start the Saturday matchups, and well, it's only fitting, MF, that you start this one off because it's going to be your team, the number 7 Michigan Wolverines in the Big House. They're going to be hosting the Falcons of the Air Force, high noon on Saturday, Big Ten Network or Big Ten Network 2, depending on where you are, I guess. Kevin Kugler and Matt Millen will be on the call for the Big Ten Network. And I would assume Michigan has got to be the favorite here.
They are a 24-point favorite going in.
Oh, yes, 24-point favorite for Michigan. So, MF, so far, in the 2 games against Florida and Cincinnati, both carbon copies. First half sloppy, second half dominant. What do you say?
Yeah, and what it is about Michigan is really defense, defense, defense. That's really been Michigan's ammo for the first 2 games. They bend but not break, but when it comes to the clutch moments, they know how to rise up. And so far they've gotten 3 pick sixes in the 2 games. They got 2 on Florida. They got 1 last week against Cincinnati, and their defense is really thriving at the right moment. Wilson Spate's been pretty good, not great, pretty good. I was really angry with them in the first game. The 2 pick sixes really annoyed me, like you wouldn't even believe. But after that, I was pretty cool with the rest of the performances. I like what I've been seeing lately from him. So, no, I've been very happy with their running.
And I guess I'm going to have to step in here. Not sure what's going on. I think we might have lost MF for a minute. So I'll take this for a spin. I got Michigan winning. I mean, they've been, first game, it was slow first half, dominant second half. Same thing against Cincinnati, slow first half, dominant second half. Wouldn't be surprised if we get the same against the Air Force, but I definitely like Michigan here. That defense has been amazing. Uh, Wilton Speed, I think he's going to have a solid game. And okay, all right, we got MF back in. So,
All right, I'm sorry about that. My connection just dropped out of nowhere. I just got RKO'd out of nowhere with my internet connection. It just dropped me out of right where I was about to finish my thought. Again, I'm gonna say it. I got Michigan winning the game. I think it's gonna be the carbon copy of it. Sloppy in the first. They'll probably kick it into high gear in the second half and blow this game wide open. At least 3. This should be a 21, 24-point win for the Maize and Blue. So I think they'll go 3-0. Anthony, it's back to you.
I agree. Michigan will go 3-0. Speed's gonna have a solid game, and I think that defense is definitely going to fluster Air Force. So we're not gonna waste too much time on that. Michigan will go over, no doubt about it. So with that, let's move on to our next matchup. One of our rather intriguing matchups here. This is one I'm looking forward to seeing. High noon on ESPN, number 9, Oklahoma State, going up against Pittsburgh. They're going to be at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, home of the Steelers. And this game will be on ESPN. We got Dave Patch with Greg McElroy and Tom Luginbill. They're going to be at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh for this one. And the spread favors Oklahoma State by 13.5 to 14.5. And yes, Pittsburgh, they hung in there against Penn State in Happy Valley, but nothing doing. And Oklahoma State, they continue to dominate. Mason Rudolph, who is without question a Heisman Trophy contender, and I think he's going to pad the resume a little bit more. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair, but I ultimately have Oklahoma State winning this one. I'd probably say maybe 45-35. Oklahoma State defeats Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. Sleeper matchup here, no doubt about it. I love this game. It's going to be a great one. I think out of all the high noon games, this might be the one that I might be the most interested in. So, but I got to look over the rest of the noon games. But I think this is the one that I might have the vested interest in. So 45-35, Oklahoma State, Mason Rudolph, he's going to have himself a day. No doubt about it. So MF, Oklahoma State, Pittsburgh, Heinz Field. This to me is a sleeper matchup right here. And Mason Rudolph especially, I mean, I think he's going to pad the Heisman resume here.
You would expect him to pad the Heisman resume, no doubt about it. I think this could be an interesting game. As a matter of fact, a couple of years ago, actually, last year, these two teams went at it, and Oklahoma State won it 45-38. So, yeah, Anthony, you definitely have a good grasp on it. Going into it at the beginning, it was a 10.5 point spread. Now to 13.5. But I don't think it's going to be that high up. I think it's going to be closer than what the experts have it. I think this is going to be an exciting game. I think Pittsburgh really got a little bone to pick, after what happened a year ago. Plus, they had a good game, not a great game, but a decent game against Penn State last week. Unfortunately, they did lose that game as well. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting matchup to say the very least. But I think, like you said, I think Mason Rudolph is going to have a good game. Pad the Heisman stats, maybe 300, 350 yards, a couple of touchdowns in the game. But at the end of the day, I got to go with Oklahoma State. I'm going to say 35-28 is my final score, and we're just going to move on to the next game.
We have one more high noon game, MF, and you're going to be starting it off. And here's another one that, now that I think about it, looking at there are three top 25 games at high noon. I might have a vested interest in all of them. I mean, Air Force and Michigan should be solid. I like the Oklahoma State Pittsburgh. I think that's the most attractive. But here's another attractive matchup. Number 25, UCLA, squaring off against Memphis at the Liberty Bowl Memorial. That's going to be high noon on ABC. And Beth Mowins, the lovely Beth Mowins, who made history this past Monday night, becoming the first woman call play-by-play an NFL game in 30 years when she worked with Rex Bryant. That game with the Denver Broncos when they survived or escaped by the skin of their teeth against the now Los Angeles Chargers. And I do mean escape. We'll get into that tomorrow night. But nonetheless, Beth Mowins will be with Anthony Becht. I'm going to call him, not sure who the sideline reporter is. I know it's a guy, but I'll have to look into it. But Beth Mowins, Anthony Becht will be at that one. And on the spread favors UCLA 2.5 to 3.5. Now, MF, of course, we couldn't do a show last week because of circumstances beyond our control. But UCLA, I mean, could you believe what they did a couple weeks ago against Texas A&M? That epic comeback against Texas A&M
was remarkable. And then to follow it up with a beatdown on Hawaii, that was very impressive by UCLA, no doubt about it. But Memphis has had 2 weeks to prepare because they were supposed to play Central Florida last week. As you know, that was one of the games that got canceled due to the fact of the hurricane. And so they had 2 weeks to get ready for UCLA. And UCLA is really good at home. But this is the first major test on the road against a very quality team. And I'm saying quality because of the fact that with Memphis, even though they were supposed to play Central Florida last week and never really got an opportunity to, the first game in the season that they played was against the University of Louisville Monroe, and they won that game pretty handily, 37-29 in the first game. Now you're going up against a very, a UCLA team that, like I said, had a comeback for the ages, and then a very impressive game last week at the Rose Bowl. So, I mean, this is going to be a difficult test because, for one, from west to east, that might be jet lag. I don't know how they're going to feel. And plus, with Memphis having 2 weeks to prepare for this game, or 2 weeks to get ready for this battle, I'm going to say this could be really tight. Could I see an upset? Absolutely. I think this could be, and I'm gonna sound the alarm and yell upset alert. So keep a close eye on this. Even though I think UCLA will get the job done and they'll win this 31-28, I would not be shocked if an upset happens here and that UCLA falls. This could be the game where they could fall, guys. I don't know why. I just got this funny feeling coming from west to east. That's one thing. On top of that, you got a team that is very hot, very motivated, ready to go. They just want to hit somebody. They've been waiting 2 weeks for this. So Memphis might be very emotional going in. Can UCLA ride that wave? Because I think Memphis is going to come out firing on all cylinders. It's going to be, what's UCLA going to do? If they can take those early shots, I think UCLA will be fine. But if they get rocked early, I think they fall. So I'm going to go with UCLA to win this. But this is not a very comfortable pick in my eyes, if that makes any sense, Anthony. So I give it to you.
Yeah, that's fine. I got UCLA winning as well, but I think Memphis is gonna give UCLA fits. I don't know if it'll be like A&M did, but I think Memphis will hang with UCLA. But I think ultimately UCLA will find a way to get it done. 34-31. That's my final score. I think Josh Rosen is going to have another humongous game, like he's had the last 2 weeks, and I think we can consider him for Heisman candidature, no doubt about it. So give me UCLA 34-31. Now we're going to go into the 3:30 slate of matchups, and I believe we have 4 or 5. It's 4. Okay. We got the number 10 Wisconsin Badgers squaring off against the BYU Cougars, Lavelle Edwards Stadium, 3:30 on ABC, and on the call for that one, it's going to be our man, one of our personal favorites, Mr. Holy Cow himself, Mike Patrick. He's going to be working with Tommy Tuberville. And I believe Paul Carcaterra is the sideline reporter working with them now. And the spread favors, I believe it favors, yes, it does, Wisconsin. 13.5 to 17 is the spread for Wisconsin. And there's really nothing for me to say on this. I got Wisconsin. I mean, the running game, better than ever. Solid quarterback play. BYU, good but not great. This Wisconsin team, we're very high on them, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have their way with BYU here. So I'm going with Wisconsin mainly because of the running game, which has been known, for the last couple of years. I mean, for the last decade or so. And I think that running game is going to continue. And their running back had himself a day and ended up being the best since Melvin Gordon a couple of years ago. So that's all I can say there. Run. That's what they're going to do. They're going to pound it. So I got Wisconsin by maybe 2 or 3 scores. MF, what says you?
No, I agree with that, Anthony, and you're absolutely right. And just to let you know, that Wisconsin guy that you're trying to talk about was Jonathan Taylor, 26 carries, 223 yards with 3 touchdowns in that game. Yeah, no doubt about it. He was really the catalyst when you got Alex Hornibrook, who had 16 of 28 with a buck, 201, a touchdown. He did add an INT in the game. I don't think we're going to kill him that hard for that. But let me tell you, man, they definitely had a big performance. Not only that, but then you had Chris James as well for Wisconsin, 16 carries for 101 yards. So yeah, Taylor and James, if they get going again, look out. I mean, BYU, you're in for a long afternoon. But I'm with you on that one, Florio. I got Wisconsin winning as well and winning this pretty handily. So yeah, on to the next game.
BYU defense, I hope you brought your gear because you're going to be in for a long day.
Oh yes, indeed.
So with all that being said, let's move on. Our second 3:30 game, CBS Sports Network, is where we're going to find this next matchup. The number 16 Virginia Tech Hokies squaring off against the East Carolina Pirates. How's this for a stadium name? Dowdy Ficklin Stadium. I like that. I like that name. It's pretty cool. That'll be in East Carolina. Dave Ryan and Corey Chavis will be on the call. I believe they have the beautiful Melanie Collins as their sideline reporter. Oh my. Let me see. Virginia Tech, a 21 to 22.5 point favorite. So MF, here's a little known fun fact. The chairman of the board of World Wrestling Entertainment, Vince McMahon, actually is a graduate of East Carolina University. I don't know if he ever knew that. So, but I hate to say it, MF. I think the boss's alma mater is going to be in for a long day as well because Virginia Tech, 3-touchdown favorite. Come on.
The last time these two teams played each other was a year ago, and it was 54-17 Virginia Tech. I mean, in the immortal words of Vincent Kennedy McMahon himself, East Carolina has no chance in hell to beat Virginia Tech. I mean, I would be stunned if that upset happens. The Hokies are just way too strong, way too powerful. I'm with you. Virginia Tech in a laugher. Anthony, you could just give your 2 cents and on to the next game.
Yeah. The only thing is Virginia Tech actually struggled on offense against Delaware last time out. They only had 2 offensive touchdowns and 303 total yards, but they still won 27-0. I mean, Vatek with Thomas Sirk, and I do believe he will have a solid game here. Well, okay, he's the ECU guy. All right. Jackson, that's who we're going to be looking for. Josh Jackson. I believe he'll have a solid game for Vatek, and yeah, so and Virginia Tech actually lost to ECU 2 years ago, 35-28. So, and that game was in East Carolina. So let's not say it's a laugher because last time they were in East Carolina pulled the upset. So we're gonna have to look into this. But nonetheless, I got Vatek mainly behind Jackson. So yeah, give me Vatek in that one. Okay. Next up, another 3:30 game. It's gonna be on ESPN University. We have the number 20 TCU Horned Frogs at home at Amon G. Carter Stadium. They're going to be hosting the Mustangs of SMU, and it'll be Roy Philpott with Tom Ramsey on the call. TCU a 19 to 19.5 point favorite. I got TCU. I mean, TCU, Kenny Hill. I think he's going to have another huge game, and TCU had no trouble whatsoever with Arkansas. Breaks my heart to say that because, you know, our good friend, the beautiful State of Sorrell, let's just say Sorrell was not too happy about what happened last Saturday as part of the season premiere of the SEC on CBS. I remember going on her. She posted a photo on her Facebook page. She actually had the ticket the ticket that she had to that game, the ticket stub, but because she went to that game, well, let's just say it was torn up and tattered. That's all I'm gonna say. That's how frustrated that baby girl was. You don't like her when she's angry, especially when her team gets, destroyed and dominated. And TCU literally manhandled her Razorbacks in Arkansas last week. So I fully expect a carbon copy. But SMU, I mean, they're solid though. They're 2-0, but I think TCU at home, and especially with the great play of Kenny Hill, I think it's gonna continue. So I got to go with TCU by at least 2 scores. So MF, TCU coming off a dominant win against State of Sorrell's Arkansas team, and I'm expecting a lot more of the same against SMU.
You and I both, man. You and I both. I think that's definitely what you just said there is definitely what I think could happen, what I think will happen. No doubt about it. I mean, what I saw last week as well, I was stunned. That was very impressive, unbelievable performance, and yeah, in a way, my heart breaks for State of Sorrell too, because she is one of the sweetest people around once you really get to know her behind the scenes. And she's cool. She's a cool person. So I mean, I hate that it happened. It's part of the business. I understand that, but man, alive, man, that was a bad beatdown to say the very least. I wish them nothing but the best on that one, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good game. But yeah, I'm with you on this one. I think SMU is just. I mean, what is there to say? I mean, when you got when SMU play with TCU, I should say, I think TCU should have an easy time. No doubt about it. TCU wins. Nothing more to say. Anthony, let's move on.
Okay, now we're gonna get to have some fun here. One of our top games of the week, the SEC on CBS. Number 23, Tennessee Volunteers. Number 24, Florida Gators. Florida Field at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. Brad Nessler, Gary Danielson, Ali LaForce, they'll be there. And Florida is a 4.5 to 5 point favorite here. So MF, the SEC on CBS, Tennessee and Florida, finally one of our top games of the week here. This should be a good one.
Oh, it's gonna be a blast. This is gonna be a war. I'm gonna have so much fun with this. I'm gonna say honestly, going into it, I gotta go Tennessee. I love their body of work. I love what they bring to the table. I don't know. I'm just not sold on Florida. I mean, they had a decent game against Michigan, but they fell apart in the second half. I don't think they can hang with Tennessee. I don't know why. That's just me personally. I gotta say it. Give me the Tennessee Volunteers. I think we might be hearing Rocky Top on that night. I think Tennessee wins. It's going to be a close game. They won it last year in what I thought was a great game. That was Josh Dobbs' final game again in that rivalry. I think they're going to do it again in Gainesville. I think they win it. My final score is 28-21. Tennessee, Rocky Top over the Florida Gators. So, Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, Rocky Top on top of that old Tennessee hill, and Smokey the dog will be out there in full force. I mean, you gotta love that little wobbler, man. He is one of the cutest little things you'll ever see. My love of dogs, and that dog in particular. I mean, he is just the cutest. He is just a cutie pie, no doubt about it. I love Smokey, and Smokey is definitely going to have a lot of fun with this one. Florida, of course, coming off of that meh performance against Michigan. They hung with them in the first half, and in the second half, they did not show up whatsoever. Tennessee, of course, week one had the game of the week when they got by Georgia Tech, 42-41 in double overtime. Unbelievable. That was another 5-star classic, Shakespearean drama at its finest. And and then I believe they had an easier time with their last opponent. So really nothing left to say here. It's one of our games of the week. I got to go with Tennessee as well. I think it's going to be a little more lower scoring. I probably would go maybe 2017 Tennessee over Florida. Okay, back to the meh games here. 4:00 game, SEC Network. The number 15 Auburn Tigers, Jordan Hare Stadium at home, squaring off against the Bears of Mercer. Let's see who's going to be working this one. It'll be Joel Myers with Brian Kinchin, and on the call. And I don't have a spread, but I would have to imagine Auburn's got to be a sizable favorite here. And I got to say, give Auburn credit, man. They hung with Clemson last week, but ultimately Clemson found a way to win like they always do, which is why they're the defending national champs. And, well, we'll get into them shortly because they got the game of the week. Little spoiler alert there. But nonetheless, I think Auburn will bounce back here. Jarrett Stidham, I expect him to have a huge game, and the running game with Petway and that unit. So I say Auburn, easy win over Mercer, bouncing back after that tough loss to Clemson, tough luck loss, as I say. So, and with Auburn winning, that'll of course bring a smile to another one of our personal favorites, Lindsey McCormick. I mean, you all know she is an Auburn alum, and I know it was hard for her to take it on the chin against Clemson, but no, not to worry, my dear. Your boys should have an easier time. They got a weak opponent, so no worries here. So Auburn and a laugher, MF. What says you?
Short, sweet, and straight to the point here, Anthony. I'm gonna go with Auburn as well. They're just too strong of a team. I just think, like you said, last week they did hang tough. They did have at least a decent performance. However, once this is all said and done, I'm pretty sure Auburn is gonna win this one going away as well. I got really nothing else to say. I don't really have that much faith when it comes to Mercer. I just think they're just gonna. I don't think so. So sorry. Give me Auburn to win pretty easily. Nothing more to say, Anthony. Let's move on.
Yeah, we got another easy one coming up, MF. As we're gonna start it off with you here. Well, how about this? You got to lead off on the Michigan game, and now you get to lead off on their most hated rival, number 8, the Ohio State University Buckeyes, back at home in the horseshoe of Ohio Stadium, against another tough opponent, the Black Knights of Army West Point. The Army's coming to town. 4:30 on Fox. Joe Davis, Brady Quinn, Bruce Feldman, they'll be on the call. But here's the thing. Ohio State, a 30-point favorite. MF, I mean, Army 2-0, but here's the thing. Ohio State, they're coming off of an embarrassing home loss to Oklahoma. So embarrassing that Baker Mayfield planted the OU flag right on the Ohio logo. And I'm sure as a Michigan fan, you must have had a Cheshire cat-like grin from ear to ear.
No, I was actually offended. I was a little angry about that because that's a Big Ten school getting disrespected. I was a little angry about that, but Baker Mayfield did apologize for it. He said that was a spur of the moment, and he says that they do it normally in the locker room after a game is over, but he was so emotionally driven that he did it on the field. But the thing was, it was an eye for an eye moment because I found out a year ago that when Ohio State won their game against Oklahoma in Oklahoma, that they actually sang the Ohio State alma mater song on the field after the game was over, that the band played Script Ohio on Oklahoma's turfs, and Oklahoma fans were not happy about that. So this was kind of an eye for an eye moment. But no, Ohio State is gonna, man, they are angry. You do not like a team when they lose, when they get humiliated like they did, and now you got to play them a week with Urban Meyer as the head coach. This team's going to be clicking on all cylinders. JT Barrett is going to probably have the game of his life this weekend. Army, sorry, guys. You guys are going to get crushed. Floyo, it's yours.
Yeah, Ohio State's going to crush them. I mean, they're not going to just crush them, normally it's gonna be a Rusev crush if I'm gonna be real honest with you. JT Barrett, he is gonna go absolutely off. And that's all I'm gonna say on that. So Ohio State and a laugher. So we're just gonna move on. Number 21, Washington State Cougars at home at Clarence D. Martin Stadium, squaring off against the Beavers of Oregon State. 5:30 kickoff on the Pac-12 network. Roxy Bernstein with Anthony Haran and Lewis Johnson. They'll be there. Washington State, a 21-point favorite in this one. Nothing really to say here. Washington State, I got them all day here. Luke Falk, he's going to have himself a day. That's all there is to it. So Washington State, they'll definitely cover that spread. 3-touchdown win, no doubt about it. So MF, should be an easy one for Washington State with Luke Falk and company.
You expect that it should be an easy win, and I think we all are expecting that. So yes, absolutely. How is it gonna look? Are they gonna be looking as sharp or anything else? I think that's gonna be the real question. Are they gonna look sharp enough to dominate in this game? And that's all I can say about that. We're just gonna move on to the next matchup.
Yep, and speaking of the aforementioned Baker Mayfield, his team, the now number 2 Oklahoma Sooners, back home at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium in Norman. They're going to be at home against the Green Wave of Tulane on the Oklahoma Pay-Per-View Network. Okay, I never heard of that, but okay. Brendan Burke and David Anderson will be on the call for that one. And, oh my. You thought that Ohio State spread was huge?
Yikes, I just saw it too.
35 to 35.5 point favorite is Oklahoma. MF, I mean, Baker Mayfield coming off the game of his life against Ohio State in the Horseshoe. He's coming back home against an inferior opponent.
Yeah, this is an easy game. This is easy to call. You don't even need to mute your mic, Floyo. Keep it on. I'm gonna be short and sweet with this one. It's Oklahoma. I mean, what they did to Ohio State was they dominated them offensively, defensively. They got the pressure on them. This could be like a sit back, relax, run around a couple of laps. You don't really need to dominate. Maybe you do it like for 2 or 3 quarters, then pull all your starters out after that, because I think that's going to be what's going to happen. Baker Mayfield will not play the full game. I think he'll probably play about maybe a half or maybe 3 quarters, because I think they're going to dominate Tulane so bad that they're just going to have mercy on them at a certain point. So, no, nothing more to say.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma. I mean, I can definitely see that. I mean, that's exactly what happened when Oklahoma was at home against UTEP 2 weeks ago. Mayfield, I believe, were like 19 out of 20 for like 320 something yards and 3 or 4 scores. So I can definitely see him having a game like that again. So Oklahoma and a laugher. I could probably say this will probably be the pick of the week. And if they were doing, that eliminator style thing, I think Oklahoma would probably be that pick. No doubt about it. So, okay, from number 2 to number 1, 7 o'clock on ESPN2, the number 1 team in all the land, the Alabama Crimson Tide, back at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa. They're going to be hosting the Rams of Colorado State. And it's on ESPN2. Mark Jones, Rod Gilmore, Quint Kessenich will be there. And Alabama, another huge favorite, 28.5 to 29-point favorite. I mean, it's Bama, man, all day. Jalen Hurts, he's going to have himself a game. No doubt about it. Calvin Ridley, he's going to have a huge game. No doubt about it. I mean, it's going to be roll tide. Simple as that. So, roll tide, roll. Easy win for Bama. So, MF, want to throw in your 2 cents? I know where you're going, but
just roll tide. That's all I'm going to say about that. I think they're just too strong, too powerful. I mean, they're just poised. There's really nothing else to say. Alabama wins. Next game.
7 o'clock on ESPN. Staying in the SEC. Number 12, LSU Tigers squaring off against the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. Davis Wade Stadium at Scott Field in Starkville. This game's on ESPN. Joe Tessitore, Todd Blackledge, and Holly Rowe, they'll be there. And it is LSU 7 to 7.5, a touchdown spread. Wow, very rarely we actually get a single-digit spread here, but we'll take it here. So, MF, here's another sleeper matchup here: LSU and Mississippi State. This should be one of the better games of this week.
This should be one of the better games of the week, no doubt about it. I think this will be definitely a surprising matchup. Excitement galore. How's it going to play out at the end? But I think that's the way that we got to see is how's it going to play out? How's it going to look? At the end of the day, we'll just wait and see. But for me, I got to go with LSU. I think they're just the better team. I think they'll find the right situation to win this game, and that's what I think. I think they're going to win it, so I really got nothing more to say. LSU wins this one, and my final score is I think it's going to be a 35-28. LSU should beat Mississippi State. So, Anthony, it's yours.
I agree. I got LSU winning as well, mainly because of LSU's running back, Geis. I think Geis is going to have himself a huge night. And I think that should be just enough for LSU to squeak one out in Starkville. So I'm going to go a little more lower scoring. 24-17 LSU over Mississippi State. We got 3 7:30 games here. 7:30 kickoff, Big Ten Network or Big Ten Network 2. The number 5, Penn State, Nittany Lions, once again at home, Beaver Stadium, Happy Valley. And they're going to be squaring off against the Panthers of Georgia State. And on that call, it will be Brandon Gaudin and Glenn Mason. And we have a spread for this one. Yes, we do. Penn State, 37 to 37.5 point spread for Penn State against Georgia State. Okay. Trace McSorley, Saquon Barkley. Do I have to spell it out any further? Penn State in a laugher. Those two are going to have monster games, and they're going to bury Georgia State. What do you say to that, MF?
No, I agree with that. No doubt about it. You hit the nail right on the head on this one. Penn State, easy. Nothing more to say. Let's move on.
Yes, indeed. Another meh game here. 7:30 SEC Network. Number 13, Made in Georgia Bulldogs at home against another Bulldogs team, the Samford Bulldogs, in the hedges. Mike Morgan, Barrett Jones on the call. And let's see if I have a spread for this one. I believe I don't. No, I don't believe there's a spread for this
No,
one.
I don't have one either.
Yeah, but you have to imagine Made in Georgia has got to be a huge favorite. And MF, I believe we start this one off with you here. Georgia, fresh off a huge win at Notre Dame Stadium against Notre Dame under the lights Saturday night on NBC. Now back at home in the hedges against a rather inferior opponent.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think Georgia's going to win it. I just think they're just a better team. Going into this, I just have them a little bit better than the rest. So yeah, I'm with you on this one, Anthony. Give me Georgia to win going away. So it's on to you.
Yeah, it's Georgia. I mean, that running tandem, Nick Chubb and Sony Mitchell there, no doubt about it. Should be an easy win for them. I mean, they got all the confidence in the world after going into Notre Dame Stadium. Not an easy place to win, but they did it. And give credit to Notre Dame. I mean, Notre Dame, they hung with them. They really did. But it was just too much Georgia. I mean, a great defensive play, a strip sack fumble to seal the win for Georgia as Notre Dame was trying for a winning field goal. But as brokenhearted as I was about that loss, I mean, I had to give it to Georgia, man. That was a nice win for them. So Georgia and a laugher. Next up, our last 7:30 game on ESPN University. The number 18 Kansas State Wildcats squaring off against the Commodores of Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt Stadium. And on the call for that will be Mike Cousins and John Congemi. Kansas State, 3.5 to 4 point favorite here. So, this is the sleeper game right here. Couple of 2-0 teams squaring off, and this is tough to call. I mean, this one can go really either way, but for some odd reason, I got to go with Kansas State here. I mean, I think Kansas State is the better team, honestly, and 3.5 to 4. That's not the most confident, but I think K-State will find a way to get it done. So I say K-State wins. I will go 28-24. MF, how about it? And what I think is this, I think this is the sleeper game of the week right here.
Yeah, no, I'm going to go with K-State as well. I think they got enough weapons. I think they'll get the job done. They're a solid team. So, yeah, nothing more to say. Kansas State wins. Oh, my goodness. Are you ready for what I believe could be the game of the week? Maybe is the game of the week. We got like a double main event here. Let's go.
Well, this is, in my opinion, the game of the week right here. Now, originally, it was supposed to be a renewal of one of the great rivalries in the history of the game, Miami, the U, and Florida State. But because of Hurricane Irma says, you're not playing it on my watch. Get that, out of here. Maybe it might be a blessing in disguise because it left ABC scrambling. I mean, we need a Saturday night game. Well, praise these folks because they were in a tough situation. They scrambled, and oh boy, look what they found. What a replacement. Does it get any better than this? The number 3 reigning and defending national college football playoff national champion Clemson Tigers squaring off against the number 14 Louisville Cardinals, Papa John's Cardinal Stadium in Louisville, 8 Eastern on ABC. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Maria Taylor. And before I give it to MF, the spread favors Clemson, not by much. Only 3 to 3.5. All right, MF. This is the game. This is far and away the game of the week right here.
Oh, yeah.
The defending national champions without Deshaun Watson and all those stars going up against a future star in Lamar Jackson.
And current Heisman Trophy winner, too.
Reigning Heisman Trophy winner indeed. So
yeah,
there's nothing more to say except, can you say 5-star classic with Shakespearean drama at its finest?
Can you say national champions fall? I think it's going to happen. I think this is going to be the upset. Get ready. They might be storming the field at Papa John's Stadium in Louisville because I got the upset. I got Louisville winning this game. I just think they are, without a doubt, the most unbelievable team right now in college football, and I think Jackson is going to have a monster game. He had a great game last weekend against North Carolina, and he single-handedly destroyed them, getting 6 touchdowns, 3 in the air, 3 on the ground, and now he's going up at home against Clemson. And let me tell you, Clemson has not really been the most, I don't want to say they've been the most perfect team so far. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, but it's Clemson. You know, you never should underestimate the national champion. Okay, fair point. No doubt about it. But they didn't really look that impressive last week against Auburn. It was only a 14-6 game. I mean, defensively they looked amazing, but they never, ever, ever has dealt with a guy, somebody who's this strong, this powerful, who can beat you two ways. And the other factor is that because that this is in Louisville, I like this even more for Louisville than I would have done if this was in Death Valley. No doubt about it, Clemson wins. But because of the fact that it's in Louisville, Lamar Jackson looks like without a doubt, if he has the game like he had last week, there's no doubt in my mind he is early candidate to win the Heisman again. This is a moment you want to go for. You want to rise up. This would be the game you want to do it. Under the lights, on ABC, a nationally televised game. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it right now, Anthony. I think the upset is going to happen. It's going to be 21-17. Louisville upsets Clemson. Get ready for a stampede at Papa John's Cardinal Stadium. I think the reigning national champions are going down. It is all yours, my friend.
Well, if we were doing college football games, this would have been our game right here. No doubt about it. I mean, this would have been, me as the Chris Fowler, MF as the Kirk Herbstreit. He just gave the Kirk Herbstreit right there. And, oh, man, what a game. I mean, I feel bad for all those folks, still suffering from Irma. I mean, Miami and Florida State, we were supposed to have the renewal of one of the greatest rivalries, but don't worry, it will happen. Not till next month, October 7th. We'll finally get that Miami FSU matchup, and we're going to have it for you here on our college football when we get to college football Thursday that week. But nonetheless, what a replacement here. I mean, they couldn't have picked a better replacement than Clemson and Louisville. I mean, under the lights, Lamar Jackson, I think this is the biggest game of his career right here. And if he has a huge game against these guys, which I think he's going to, this could definitely, change the complexion of the ACC. I mean, Florida State, they lost their quarterback, Francois. Francois got hurt, and hurt badly in that game against Alabama at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta a couple weeks ago. That changed the complexion right there because a lot of people, including myself, thought Florida State was going to win the ACC. Well, that ain't happening. So this game could be well significant over who's going to win this conference. And Louisville definitely, I think, is the favorite now. And I agree with you, MF. With this game being in Louisville, you got to go with Louisville. If it was in Death Valley, I would definitely go with Clemson. But this ain't Death Valley. This is Louisville. It's Papa John's Cardinal Stadium. Biggest game they've hosted in a while. And I think Lamar Jackson is going to prove to be that primetime player one more time. So, and if you don't believe me, go back and watch the last game that he played against North Carolina. In North Carolina, in Chapel Hill, he picked apart that North Carolina defense. If he could pick apart that defense, I think he could pick apart that Clemson defense. And plus, Clemson coming off a very shaky victory against Auburn. So, I don't have all the confidence in Clemson. So, I agree, MF. I'm going with the upset. I'm going with Louisville. It's gonna be awesome. 38-35, Louisville over Clemson. Game of the week, 5-star classic, Shakespearean drama at its finest. There's nothing more to say on that. So, okay. You thought that was good? Oh, MF said double main event. Well, here's the other half of that double main event. 8:30 on Fox. The number 4 USC Trojans at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum squaring off against the Texas Longhorns. Ooh. And it will be, yep, it will be the A team it will be Fox's A team. Our man, Gus Johnson, Joe Klatt, the beautiful Jenny Taft on the sidelines. USC a 15.5 to 17-point favorite in this one. It's got to be USC. I mean, Texas a couple weeks ago got upset at home by Maryland, but then they bounced back against a soft opponent. USC had a tough time with Western Michigan, and then they flexed their muscle against Stanford. Sam Darnold, I expect a huge game from that young man, no question. Ronald Jones, the second, the running back, I think he's going to have a huge game as well. And I mean, one of the most famous, and when you think Texas USC, it's gonna conjure up the memories of one of the greatest championship games of all time, a game that MF and I had the pleasure of covering. And did we have fun with that one? Believe me, we had fun with it. Texas and USC in the Rose Bowl when Vince Young had that touchdown to win it, and both teams coming off impressive rushing performances. USC went for 370 rushing yards in a win over Stanford. Ronald Jones II and Stephen Carr both over 100 yards. Texas, 406 yards rushing against San Jose State. Chris Warren III, 166 yards on 2 TDs on just 16 carries. But Sam Darnold, noted for his NFL arm, his mobility also has been a central facet of the buzz surrounding his play. He was 21 to 26 for 316 and 4 scores against Stanford. And I'm expecting a huge game for him here. And Gerard Hurd moved to wide receiver in the offseason, but a shoulder injury to Shane Buechele. Hurd should have a solid game. He can supplement him at quarterback, regardless of if Buechele or Sam Ehlinger starts against USC. Buechele still nursing a shoulder injury, but it's not going to matter. It's got to be SC, especially in the Coliseum. So SC wins. I probably would say the final here. I probably would say 38-24, USC over Texas, and USC continues their winning ways. So MF, I mean, when you think Texas USC, you can't help but think about that epic Rose Bowl game that we had the pleasure of covering, many moons ago when Vince Young had the game of his life to lead Texas to that title. So,
and it was the last time, it was the USC dynasty, if you remember that very well, Anthony, because that was Reggie Bush, that was Matt Leinart. There was so many weapons. Pete Carroll was the head coach, but Mack Brown and, more importantly, Vince Young. What a performance that was. I remember that very well. One of the greatest national championship games we've ever done in our history working together. And yeah, it definitely, but this is a different time, a different era. And I definitely believe that this time around, it's going to be SC getting the win on this one. So yeah, give me USC as well. Nothing more to say. And then let's move on to the next game.
2 more games left. And it's a 9:30 kickoff on the Pac-12 network. Number 6, Washington Huskies at home at Alaska Airlines Field at Husky Stadium, squaring off against the Bulldogs of Fresno State. Ted Robinson, Yogi Roth, Cindy Brunson on the call. And Washington, a 33-point favorite at home against Fresno State. Michael Bullock has just joined us. We're going to put this game on hold for a minute. So MF, take a breather here, because we're going to get Michael Bullock caught up here. So, all right, Bullock just made it. So, because we're down to our last 2 games, but because mainly we had a lot of meh games here. But Michael Bullock, let's get you caught up here. First game, Friday night, Illinois against number 22, South Florida.
What was the game again?
Illinois against number 22, South Florida.
I actually got South Florida winning this one.
All right. Now And now on to the Saturday games. Your team, number 7 Michigan, at home against the Air Force.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make it short and sweet. I got Michigan winning this one.
All right. Number 9, Oklahoma State, squaring off against Pittsburgh.
It's gonna be the Oklahoma State Cowboys winning this one.
Number 25, UCLA, scoring off against Memphis.
I got UCLA winning this one.
Number 10, Wisconsin, squaring off against BYU.
I got the Badgers winning this one.
Number 16, Virginia Tech against East Carolina.
It's the Hokies all the way.
SMU, squaring off against number 20, TCU.
I got the TCU Horned Frogs winning this one.
One of our favorites, the SEC on CBS, number 23, Tennessee, and number 24, Florida.
This is going to be a tough one here, but I got Tennessee winning this one.
Mercer, squaring off against number 15, Auburn.
Oh, I got Auburn all the way with this one.
Army, squaring off against number 8, Ohio State.
I got the Ohio State Buckeyes winning this.
Oregon State and number 21, Washington State.
I got Washington State winning this one.
Tulane, squaring off against number 2, Oklahoma.
Boomer Sooner all the way, baby.
Colorado State, squaring off against number 1, Alabama.
Oh, it's a roll tide roll with this one.
Number 12, LSU and Mississippi State.
I got the LSU Tigers winning this one.
Georgia State and number 5, Penn State.
Oh, the Nittany Lions all the way with this one.
Samford and number 13, Georgia.
The Georgia Bulldogs all the way with this one, man.
Number 18, Kansas State and Vanderbilt.
I got Kansas State winning this one.
The game of the week. Replacement game. Originally supposed to be Miami and Florida State, but it's now number 3, national champion Clemson, and number 14, Louisville.
Whew. This is another early big game in the college football season, but in the end, I got the Clemson Tigers winning this one, but this one's going to be a close one.
Fair enough. Okay. Texas and number 4, USC.
Boy, all I can say about this one, Florio, is this is a rematch we've been waiting for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll tell you what, the USC Trojans, they're going to be looking for payback after what happened in that. I mean, we thought they were going to win the national championship, but good old Vince Young had something to say about that with that winning touchdown, and I think USC is going to get their payback, and so give me the USC Trojans to win this one.
All right, now you're all caught up, so now we're gonna move on to our next matchup. I already went down the schematics. Number 6, Washington at home against Fresno State. And let me see. I believe I led off on that Texas USC game. So MF, we're going to start it off with you here. Fresno State, number 6, Washington. Yeah. MF, how do you feel about Fresno State against Washington in Washington?
Fletcher, you there?
Oh, I hope we didn't lose him again. MF, all right.
Did we lose him?
But we did lose him earlier, but he held on. But he came back in and he's done just fine. No issues since. But I guess I'll take it for a spin here. Well, actually, no. Michael Bullock, why don't you start it off? Fresno State at number 6, Washington.
All right, I'll take it for a spin. Yeah, as far yeah, I mean, I got Washington winning this one. I mean, this one's not even going to be close. I mean, like you said, I mean, they're a big favorite going into this, and yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more for me to say. I mean, Jake Browning, I think, is going to really have a big game here, and the receiving core, I think, will play really well in this. So, give me Washington to win this one. So, Florio, it's yours.
Yeah, I got Washington winning as well. Jake Browning, Myles Gaskin, the receiving core, they're all gonna have huge games, no question about it. Easy win for Washington. They're 33-point favorites. I mean, they're near 5 touchdown favorites, so they should have no trouble with Fresno State whatsoever. I'm sure MF will agree if we can get him back in. I don't know if he's back with us, but MF, if you're with us, there you go. Fresno State, Washington.
Washington. I got really nothing more to say.
Yeah. One more game to go, guys. 10:30 on the CBS Sports Network. We got number 19 Stanford squaring off against San Diego State at Qualcomm Stadium. Ben Holden and Jay Feely on the call, and the spread favors Stanford 9 to 9.5. And I'll start it off since I had to have Bullock lead off on the last one. I mean, it's got to be Stanford. I mean, the running game, Bryce Love. It's going to be a great running back matchup. Bryce Love for Stanford and Rashad Penny of San Diego State. They're tied for first nationally with 6 runs of 20-plus yards in just 2 games. The running game will be in the spotlight when these two square off. And, Stanford looking to bounce back from that humiliating loss to USC in the Coliseum. I mean, Love is doing very well. 340 yards, including 160 in a score in that loss to USC. Penny, easy win over Ohio State. 353 all-purpose yards, including 216 rushing. Also had a 99-yard kick return, 95-yard run, and a 33-yard reception. Penny, like Love, is emerging into a bigger spotlight, and the speedy Penny, who has 6 career kick return touchdowns, most among current FBS players and one shy of tying the national record, mostly has the backfield to himself following the departure of Donald Pumphrey, who left San Diego State after last season as the rushing leader, the career rushing leader in FBS. So I think Stanford will bounce back here, mainly because of that running game with Bryce Love. So, and quarterback Keller Christ, he should have a solid game. He's going to have to deal with San Diego State's 3-3-5 base defense. But, yeah, so really nothing to say here. But don't sleep on San Diego State, because San Diego State 20-3 in their last 23 home games. So you might want to think about this one. But even with that, I'm still going to go with Stanford. I think Stanford will bounce back from that loss to USC, mainly because of Bryce Love. I think he's going to have another huge game here. So Stanford wins. I probably would say maybe 38-28 or maybe 38-31. Stanford over a game, San Diego State. How about it, MF?
I agree with that. I'm going to go with Stanford as well. I think it is going to be a gamed performance. I think it's going to be a very interesting situation. I think it's going to be pretty close. I'm gonna go with 31-28, but I do believe Stanford is gonna win. So no doubt about it. I got nothing more to say. So Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I got Stanford winning this one. But But yeah, I mean, like you basically said, I mean, I think this could be a close one, and I don't think you can take the San Diego State team lightly. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I agree with what everyone has said. So nothing else for me to say. So I say we move on.
Yeah. Our first power poll of the season, and we couldn't do it last week because we didn't have a show. So I see MF has his mic ready. So MF, who's number 10 in our first power poll of the year?
Well, this one's actually very interesting because of the fact that we had to include a few other things that went down during the season. Two teams that I can definitely tell you is not in the power poll is going to be Ohio State and Florida, because for one, Florida did lose the first game of the season and then got canceled out because of the storm. And then, of course, Ohio State got punished because of their embarrassing performance against Oklahoma. Oklahoma is in my top 3. That's just so to give you guys a food of thought. But by that measure, my number 10, now this is tough because I don't know where I was gonna do here as it relates to top 10, but my number 10 is, I'm going to say it is the Wisconsin Badgers. I got Wisconsin at number 10. Like I said, they were dominating early in the season. They've done pretty well for themselves right now. I'm going to be very comfortable with this pick in my mind. My number 10 is Wisconsin. So, Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I agree with Fletch on this one. I'm gonna go with the Wisconsin Badgers at number 10. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. So Florio, I give it to you.
All right. If we're gonna put Ohio State out, we're gonna have to move some teams up here. So I got Wisconsin just a smidgen higher, fellas. If I'm gonna be real honest, my number 10. This is one of the rare times where I'm gonna call a tie at number 10. Um, the LSU Tigers and the Maiden Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, LSU 2-0. They got by BYU, and then well, they didn't just get by BYU; they pounded BYU 27-0 in the Superdome, and then followed that up with a 45-10 beatdown Chattanooga. So very impressive to say the very least. And LSU and Mississippi State coming up, and then from there, actually, you know what? I'm just gonna put LSU at number 10. I'm just gonna say Georgia's an honorable mention for my end. Even though they went into Notre Dame and pulled out a huge win against Notre Dame under the lights, and then they, of course, won over Appalachian State 31-10. They struggled a little bit in that game. So I'm just going to have Georgia as my honorable mention. So my sole number 10 is LSU, to be honest. So I'm guessing Bullock is not ready. So I'll take number 9 for a spin. And this is actually where I have Wisconsin. They're 2-0. Let's see. 59-10, a 59-10 beatdown of Utah State, and then a 31-14 win over Florida Atlantic. BYU next, and then they got a bye week. Yeah, Wisconsin's got a pretty soft schedule here. Their next test, I don't think it's going to be until the Michigan game, honestly. So, I could be wrong. You never know, but the running game, unbelievable to say the very least, and we touched on that earlier. So my number 9, this is actually where I have Wisconsin. So MF, let's have your number 9.
Well, this is actually a brief. This is a minor disagreement here, because my number 9 is actually LSU. I actually have LSU at number 9 in my power poll. This is where I would have put them here. So, no, my number 9 is LSU. Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the LSU as my number 9 as well. So nothing else to say except Fletch number 8.
Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State Cowboys 2-0 so far. Looked pretty good in both of their performances up to this point. Really nothing much to say after that. So, yeah. My number 8 is Oklahoma State. Bullock, is yours.
All right, I guess I'm next. Oklahoma State, I do agree, is my number 8 as well. I mean, yeah. I mean, how ironic. I think it was during one of our wrestling shows where I actually channeled my inner Mike Gundy here, and now here I am with Oklahoma State as my number 8. So good week for me to be a fan of Mike Gundy. So nothing else for me to say except Flory, what's yours?
Yeah, it's Oklahoma State. I agree. They're 2-0 as well. Pounded Tulsa 59-24. Pounded South Alabama 44-7. But they're going to have their first true test when they go up against Pittsburgh at Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. I consider that a trap game, if I'm going to be real honest with you, especially when you're at a high-profile stadium like Heinz Field in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's not going to be an easy one. So, but I do think they'll pull it out. So, Mason Rudolph, that young man is on his way to some bigger and better things. I mean, he is one of the Heisman Trophy favorites. So, nothing to say there. So, Oklahoma State is number 8. And now we move on to number 7. And I'll start this one off. Michigan Wolverines, guys. It's Michigan. Michigan 2-0. Wins over Florida and Cincinnati. 33-17 over Florida. 36-14 over Cincinnati. Sloppy first half in both, but second half absolutely dominated, mainly the defense. And they score off against the Air Force. For the most part, Michigan's got a little bit of a soft schedule as well. But their first test doesn't come until October 21 when they score off against Penn State in Happy Valley. Is that going to be hella fun when we cover that? But Wilton Speed, solid, but it's really more the defense that's been really carrying Michigan. So, number 7, Michigan Wolverines. So, what do you say to that, MF?
Yeah, Michigan Wolverines, no doubt about it. I definitely have to say, they definitely are, legitimate. They're looking good. They're looking good. But we'll have to see what's going on. More than anything else. So yeah, without a doubt. So we'll see what happens very soon. So Michigan, yep, I agree. Mike Willick, it's yours.
Yes, I agree. The Michigan Wolverines, they're my number 7 as well. So nothing else for me to say except Fletch, on to number 6.
And actually, my number 6 is Washington. One of the teams that was in the Final Four about a year or so ago. They're right there. They're right there. They need a couple of teams to get tripped up along the way, and if they do, they might find themselves back into that playoff picture again. Normally, when you're in the top 6, you automatically are at least in the hunt for one of the if you're not in the playoff, you're definitely in a New Year's 6 bowl. So right now they're in position for a New Year's 6. So we'll see what happens with them. But Washington right now is in a very prime spot. They're looking really good where they're at right now. So my number 6 is the Washington Huskies. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yes, I totally agree. Number 6 for me is the Washington Huskies as well. So Florio, it is yours.
Washington Huskies, number 6, 2-0. Outscored their 2 opponents 93-21. A 30-14 win at Rutgers, and then followed that up with a 63-7 beatdown of Montana. Home against Fresno State. They got a pretty soft schedule for the most part too. Their first real test won't be until October 28 when they're at home against UCLA and Josh Rosen. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, Jake Browning, Myles Gaskin, no doubt about it. They should have big games in their next one. So against Fresno State. So nothing more to say there. So Washington is number 6. And now we're going to move on to number 5. Penn State Nittany Lions, number 5. 2-0. Outscored their 2 opponents 85-14. A 52-0 beatdown of Akron, followed up by a 33-14 win over Pittsburgh. They're at home against Georgia State, but they're going to have a tough one the following week. Next week, they got to go to Iowa. That's a tough one. That's a tough one, especially in Des Moines. Oh yeah, that's going to be a very tough one. So, but they should have another easy win here, but don't look past Georgia State just to get to Iowa. That's all I can say. But I do believe Trace McSorley and Saquon Barkley will both have huge games again. So nothing more to say. Number 5, Nittany Lions of Penn State. What says UMF?
Agreed. Penn State, definitely number 5. They've been looking very good. 2 good games so far up to this point. Nothing more to say. Mike Bullock, it's yours.
Yes, Penn State is my number 5 as well. So nothing more to say except let's go to number 4. And Fletch, it's yours.
USC. USC's been looking really good lately. They're looking really strong. They're looking powerful. I mean, I like what I've been seeing from USC. I remember, guys, this was one of the teams I said was going to be in the playoff, and they've made me look like a genius up to this point. After they had that big win over Stanford, they really convinced me now more than ever that they are definitely within that realm of possibility. So who knows how this is going to come out? Hopefully we'll see what happens. But let me tell you, they've looked so good enough that I think they could be not only in the playoff, but I think they could be a threat for the national championship. So no doubt about it. I love what I've seen up to this point. My number 4, USC Trojans. Bullock, it's yours.
Oh yeah, the USC Trojans are my number 4 as well. I mean, yeah, they're off to a really good start, and we haven't seen much success from USC since the days of Pete Carroll and some of the players he had. I mean, are they back to that USC we've known to see before? We're just gonna have to wait and find out. So, nothing else to say except Florio, it's yours.
USC Trojans, number 4. Had a rough time with Western Michigan, but they got by them 49-31. And an easier time with Stanford, 42-24. Home against Texas. They should win that one, but Texas will give them a little bit of some fits, honestly. Then they got to go to Cal. That's an easy one. But then they got a huge game on September 29th when they go to Washington State. That's a tough one right there. That's their first real test right there. So Sam Darnold, Ronald Jones II, Stephen Carr, they're up for the challenge. So no doubt about it. Number 4, the USC Trojans. And now we go to number 3, and Bullock, do you want it, or do you want me to take it?
We're number 3, right? All right. I'll actually take it.
All right.
My number 3. I'm gonna go with your reigning and defending college football playoff national champion. I gotta remember that that's what it is now. The Clemson Tigers. I mean, they're off to a 2-0 start, and they look good so far, but we'll see if they can keep this trend the rest of the season. I mean, they're definitely going to be tested against Louisville and the reigning Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson. So if they perform well, they could be going up. If they don't, well, they just may be going down. So let's not get too caught up with Clemson's 2-0 start. I want to see more from them before I could even put them higher. So Clemson's number 3 for me. Flory, what's yours?
I agree. Clemson Tigers number 3, 70-9. They've outscored their 2 opponents, 56-3 winners over Kent State, and then 14-6 winners over Auburn. 2 of the next 3 weeks, they got tough games, both on the road, at Louisville this week, and then in a couple weeks on the 30th at Virginia Tech, sandwiched in by an easy one against Boston College. So, yeah, 2 of the next 3 weeks, they got tough opponents, both on the road with Louisville and Vatex. So we'll see if this Clemson team is for real, despite losing Deshaun Watson and all those superstars that they had on their title team. So number 3, Clemson Tigers for now. So MF, number 3.
Normally, I would disagree with you guys and kind of yell no because of the fact that normally we always put the champions at number 1. However, because of the fact that I don't think they were very impressive in the last game, and that's the reason why. And a lot of the times, it's also lately on kind of a league that any other time Clemson would be number 1 because they're the reigning defending national champions. We hold them at a high regard, and whenever you do that, that makes you the top dogs. But because of the fact that they really wasn't impressive in their last game out, they fall to number 3. And because of that, I agree with you guys. I'm with you guys 100%. My number 3 is the Clemson Tigers. So yes, this is one of the rare times where the number 1, the reigning national champion falls in our rankings. This is one of the rare times this has ever happened, because normally we've always had that decree, no matter what, the champions are always number 1. But this is one of those rare cases where number 1 falls. So yeah. On to the next game. Or on to number 2, I should say.
Oklahoma Sooners, number 2. Boomer Sooner. I mean, it's one thing when you pound UTEP 56-7, but it's another when you go into Columbus, Ohio, in the Horseshoe against a very tough opponent in Ohio State and handle them like nobody's business, 31-16, and they got a pretty soft schedule here for the next few weeks. You got Tulane coming up. Baylor, Baylor. What is going on with Baylor? Losing to Liberty, and then I believe to San Antonio. Hard times for Baylor, man. Hard times. So a game that was once interesting a few years ago. Well, not anymore. I don't think they have a tough game until the Red River rivalry when they go up against Texas next month on October 14th. So Oklahoma's going to probably have it easy the next few weeks. So And Baker Mayfield, you thought he was bad against Ohio State. You thought he was super bad. When this boy is bad, he's very bad. And he is going to have himself a game against Tulane, the Green Wave. Yeah, they're going to get the wave all right. That's all I can say there. So very easy next few weeks for Oklahoma. Like I said, they're not going to get tested until it's time for the Red River rivalry when they square off against Texas. So that's all I can say. Oklahoma Sooners, number 2. How about an MF?
I disagree. I can't believe it. I disagree. Anthony, you're wrong. I hold that Oklahoma marker even higher. In my eyes, they're the number 1 team. When you go in and did what you did to Ohio State, not only was that good, not only was that great, you deserve number 1 in my eyes. I'm sorry. My number 2 is Alabama. They had a cupcake team against Fresno, an easy win against them. I hold that as a marker more than anything else. And remember, when they beat Florida State, that was a good game for the most part. But that was going into that, I believe that was number 5 versus number 2. I'm sorry, I cannot in good faith do that to in that situation. You had a good game, a big victory. It wasn't really a dominant game, to say the very least, for Alabama. That was a good performance. And then you had an easy game. You had a UTEP game that you talked about that was an easy victory. But then to go into Horseshoe against Ohio State in what was basically, I believe, was a college football playoff elimination game, and they took out Ohio State the way they did, no way. I can't do that in good faith. I'm sorry. My number 2 is Alabama. I hold that victory a lot more harder than anything else. I'm in disagreement with Anthony on this one. Mike Bullock, who do you got at number 2? Now it's gotten interesting.
Whew. Man, Fletcher makes a compelling case here. But in the end, I'm actually going to agree with Michael Fletcher on this one. I actually have Alabama at number 2, and Fletcher makes a good point. I mean, Alabama had a cupcake game, and basically went into Ohio State and basically with a statement went over the Buckeyes. So I'm actually going to put them at number 2. And obviously, Oklahoma's going to be number 1. So, Florio, with yours.
And I'm going to do the same. And I'm going to do the same thing as well. I'm going to rescind my rankings. Alabama now number 2. Oklahoma number 1. I mean, we pretty much made our cases. But, Oklahoma going into Ohio State, that's a big deal win. I should have taken that into consideration. MF, I thank you for slapping some sense into me like you always do. So yeah, dipsy-doo botcheroo on my part.
No, well, it's not really a dipsy-doo botcheroo. I mean, you got every right to make Alabama number 1. There's no doubt about it. Their resume is without a doubt well worth it. They well deserve to be number 1. I just feel like, at least for this week, what Oklahoma did outweighed what Alabama did. Now, if we did the first power poll, it would be a lot different. Alabama would have been number 1 going in, because if we would have done the show last week, no doubt about it, Alabama hands down was number 1 because of what they did to Florida State. That was absolutely an amazing performance. But this time around, they had a cupcake. Alabama and Oklahoma had the big game, the big matchup that was a major ranking implication. And not only did they win it, that was a convincing victory. That was a a victory that the committee would have took notice. I took notice, and then thus that's why Oklahoma got the #1 spot. And trust me, and I'm going to be real honest with you, if Clemson dominates and blows out Louisville, then I think Clemson will be my new #1 next week, depending on what the other teams do. But because we are holding Louisville and Clemson as like the game of the week, but if Clemson goes out and they do what Alabama did to Florida State and what Oklahoma did to Ohio State, there's no way they don't get the #1 spot. There's no way they don't get the #1 spot, at least in my eyes. Now, what you, Anthony, feel and what Michael Bullock feels, that's totally different because you guys have your own decisions to make. We don't have to agree on every single thing. It's just what have you done for me week in and week out? And like you said with tomorrow, I had a lot of thinking about what the NFL did because there's some teams in there that normally wouldn't get high rankings that got a lot of high rankings because of what they did on Sunday, and we'll divulge that tomorrow.
Indeed, we will. So, but I'm going to agree with you on that because you made a very good point, and I can't argue against it. I really honestly cannot. I mean, that's why you're the analyst and I'm just the play-by-play guy. So that's all I can say on that. I mean, that was true analysis right there. So you put on your Kirk Herbstreit hat, no doubt about it. So yeah, I'm definitely going to give you that one. Oklahoma really should be #1. Alabama, played a cupcake opponent in Fresno State. So, yeah, and you made a great point. If we had the show last week, they would have been #1, hands down, after dominating Florida State. So, and Alabama, they got a pretty soft schedule here. I mean, Colorado State coming up, Vanderbilt. Vandy could be a trap game, honestly, especially at Vandy. So, I might want to hold that thought. So, but nonetheless, Alabama's #2 and Oklahoma's #1. So, and I know Bullock agrees with that. So, all right. That will put the bow on this special Wednesday edition of College Football Thursday. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, tomorrow night we'll do it all again. Same time. This special Thursday night edition of NFL Friday. And then, of course, Friday night we're going to have our huge preview show, Triple G and Canelo Alvarez, with our special guest, our good friend Jimmy Alden. He's going to be joining us. And then we're off for the weekend. And then, of course, Monday night we'll do it all again with Ridiculously Raw, the go-home show for No Mercy, and the Cerebral Smack Talk. So there you go. So until tomorrow night for our special Thursday edition of NFL Friday, it's Anthony Floyo here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, for Michael Bullock, and in spirit, Didi Woodson and Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Thursday. And until tomorrow night for our Thursday edition of NFL Friday, you've been watching this special Wednesday edition of Strictly Sports College Football Thursday right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. For now, Anthony Floyo. So long.